Okay, in this session, we will learn how to use arrays and arrays lists if we can. We will be solving problems. We will not be talking about the very basics of arrays and array list. We will go directly to solving problems. There will be another session this coming Saturday, a 2-hour session for solving past exams. I will be there solving the questions in details. We will be giving more time to each problem. I sometimes cannot answer your chats, most of the time actually. The number, alhamdulillah, is good. So hopefully we can finish the planned number of problems. Let's go ahead. First problem about arrays. Declare and initialize an array of 10 integers. Call it data 1. So here we need to declare and initialize. Initialize means giving it values. 10 integers. The name of the data array, the name of the array is data. So I prepared already a project in Eclipse. This is our Eclipse project is empty. I'll create a package first. I'll call it test. Inside the package, I'll make my first class. And in this class, I'll call it array demo. We'll be doing so many things. The main function here. Okay, so I need to initialize, declare and initialize an array of 10 integers. Integer array. The name of the array is data 1. Then I can give values directly. This is how the question says, give the values directly. Now I'm entering 4, 5 values, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 values. So this array has been initialized. The size of the array is 10. We call it length in Java. It's easy to get the size of the array in Java. Just can ask the array about its size. For example, integer data, integer s equals data 1 dot length. You don't have to use separate constants like C++. Let's see the array size here. For example, I'll output s only to see if the size is fine. So the size is 11. I believe I entered one more value. So I'll delete one value now. Let me run it again. So the size is 10. So here, this is how we initialize an array. If we want to print the array, we need to go from first element to last element. This is how we do it in a for loop. For integer I is equal 0. This is first element in the array. I is less than array name dot length. And it must be less than, not less than or equal, because the indexes in the array now are from 0 to 9. No index called 10 here in the array. 10 elements, first element is 0. Last element is 9. So the last element in the array is actually length minus 1. So how to print the elements in the array? Let us just do data 1. This is the name of the array I. So data 1, 0 is 4. Data 1, 1 is 6. Data 1, 2 is 55, and so on. Last element is data 1, 9, which is 19. Let me output this to see if we get all the elements of the array. Here we have 10 elements in the array. So we declared and initialized. Initialized means give it a value. Let's see the second question. Declare an array of 10 integers. Now we will fill it with values from 1 to 10 using a for loop. Call the array data 2. So the values in the array will be 1 to 10. 10 integers should be filled using a for loop, and the array name is data 2. We will now say, for example, here, integer array data 2 equals new integer and the size is 10. This time I specified the array size explicitly. First time the array size was known implicitly. Depends on how many values you provide, but now the array size is 10. One thing about arrays, you cannot change the array size once you start. Now let us fill the array data2 with values. It's a for loop, similar to the previous for loop. We always going to use this for loop with arrays. I is equal to 0. I is less than data2 dot length I plus plus. So now you need to fill the elements. Data2 I is equal to I. If you make it I, you will start from 0. So data2I is equal to I plus 1. So this way, the first element will be 1, second element 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this way, our array will be filled with values from 1 to 10. I can output the array, the second array. I need just to use the same for loop, by the way. I did for array 1. I need just to change the array name, data2, and here, data2. So this way, I'm printing the elements of the array. So data2 now, if you look at it, these are the elements of the data2 array. Let us do it in a better form. Sys out, take an empty line. A good way of printing array sometimes can be with just using print. Print instead of print a new line, and put space between the elements so it doesn't take a lot of space on the screen. So now we are outputting the two arrays, but each will be output in one line instead of one line for each element. Let me run this. So here is our first array. And our second array, I believe I need to change this to print, instead of println, and run again. So now we have two arrays. One was initialized, the other was filled using a for loop with elements from 1 to 10. Next question is, declare an array of 10 integers. Now we need to fill it using a for loop, but with numbers entered by the user. Yani you're going to input the numbers. You're going to input the numbers 10 times. The array name is going to be data3. So let us first go to Eclipse, integer array data3 equals new integer array, and the size is 10. Now we know this. Now we need to fill it. Since we are going to enter data using the keyboard, I need some kind of a scanner. So let me just define it. Scanner input equals new scanner system dot in, and I need just to import it. Import scanner. That's it. So now I'm ready to fill the data3 array. So I still need a for loop again. I will go here and I will go from first to last element, but now I will do something different. I will ask the user to enter a value. Enter a value. And I think it's better to choose print here in this example so that you see there, you input data in the same line. Now, integer value is equal to input dot next integer. This is how we read an integer from the keyboard. Okay, next is data3 I is equal to value. So now, in the for loop, you will be asked 10 times to enter a value. The value will be taken from you, and whatever you enter will be put in the third array. To see our results, I will print the array again here. I will do the same thing for the third array. I'll just use data3 here and data 3. Let's see the 3 arrays now. First and second arrays are shown. Now I need to input values. Now I am at line 28 of the code. If I press 15, it's placed in the first position, position 0, 13, and so on. So now I filled the third array with 10 values from the keyboard. Let's see the next question. Create a function called print array. Instead of printing each array in a separate for loop, create a function called print array and to print all the 3 arrays actually. So now I'll go and create a function here inside the same class. Public static. This must be static here because I'm going to call it from the main class, which is the main method, which is static. If you have questions about static and non-static, we can answer it in a separate tutorial. Now the function name is print array. It will take an integer array. You can call it my array. So this function will print the array. Instead of using separate for loop for each array, just make a function and send the array to it, and it will take care of it. I'll just copy paste any code. Here, I will do it this way. You can do something like this. If you want your array, just print line, for example, bracket here for the array. And after you print all the elements of the array in one line, you can just do this at the end. And this could be print new line. So you get a new line after you finish the array only. So now instead of all of this code, I now can call the print array. So no need for this now. No need for this also. And no need for this. Okay. So now I'll call print array with data 1. And I will call print array for data 2. And I will call print array for data 3. So now I have one function that prints any integer array. Let me just run this. I need to fill the third array. Here you see one function was used to print the elements of all the 3 arrays. So your code is a bit cleaner now. This for loop is used only to fill the array elements with value from 1 to 10. Let's go back to see what to do next. Copy all the elements of, or copy the contents of the data 1 array to another array, which is data copy. The question says copy. Let's see how to do it. So I need to create a new array, integer array. The name of the array is data copy, and it's a new array, the same size as data 1. We can get the size of data 1 array dynamically now. I don't have to type 10, because if you change the size of data 1 array, this 10 will be invalid. You can bind it to the size of array 1, data 1 dot length. So now, if you change the data 1 array, this one will also be the same size. Now I have an empty array, data 1, the same size, data copy, sorry. It's the same size as data array. The question says copy the data. Actually, copy the data is not going to be done this way. Yeah, you're not going to say data copy is equal to data 1. This is not copy. If you do it this way, you are not copying the array. You are referencing the array. No new array will be created in this way. Both arrays will be using the same memory locations to make this problem visible, or I will do data copy, for example. Element 0 is equal to 99. Data copy element 1 is equal to 88. And data copy element 2. So I changed 3 elements in the data copy now, not in the data array. 2 and 3. 4 elements, okay? 77 and 66. So here I thought this would be copying. It's not. We will show you this in the output now. We changed contents of the data copy array, not the original data array, which is 465. So now if I print all the arrays, let me first print data 1, then print data copy here. So now, okay, let's do the opposite here. Now if I do this, let me print. I'll do one thing to make it quick. I'll change the size of the data 3 array to make it 5. I don't want to take a lot of time inputting data. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, the first array, which is data, and the second array, which is data copy. The changes were reflected in both of them. Actually, even the word both is wrong because you have only one array. They are both sharing the same contents. If you change one of them, the other will be changed. So how to copy an array? The way to copy an array is not by doing it this way. This is wrong. You need to make a for loop. And in that for loop, you copy each element from the source array to its position in the destination array. To make a long story short, for integer I is equal to 0, I is less than data 1 dot length I plus plus. So now you will say data copy I is equal to data 1 I. This is how you copy an array. Now you have two arrays. If you make changes now, as you see in lines 25, 26, 27, these changes will only be made to the data copy array, not to the original array, because now after this for loop, you have two arrays, not one. There is a copy, but first one was sharing the same array reference. Let's run this, make sure everything is fine. I filled that array. Now you see, this is the first array data. This is the second array data copy. As you see, the changes were only done to the copy, to the new created array. This is how to copy array. So now you have an array, you copied an array, and it's clear now how you do a copy array. We will do all other functions of array in the next example. Let's see if we are done with the first example. Now we are done with the first example. Let us go to the second one and see other functions like sum and these things. In this one, we have an array of 10 non-negative integers. Call it data. Okay, so we have an array of 10 non-negative integers. Call it data. Then we need to find, using functions, we need to do maximum, minimum, sum, and average. So at least we have something to start with. I'll create another example. I will later copy paste some code to this one. Class, I'll call it array fun. And with the main method, I will go back here and copy this method. We have done this copy array method here. Now, okay, it says declare an array of 10 integers data equals new integer array of size 10. So now The question says, fill it with non-negative data. Fill it with non-negative data. Let us first see how to fill it first, then we see how to fill it with non-negative data. I have shown you the for loop in the previous example, how to fill an array. This is how to fill an array. Okay, so let me just come here and do this. So here our array name is data. And that's it. The array name is data. And I just need to declare a scanner for input. And to be always a good programmer, make sure once you are done, close the scanner. Okay, input.close. We will move this to a function later. So now, as you see here, we will fill the array with 10 integers. But let us fill it with non-negative values. So how we do? We do some validation simply here. Now, after the user inputs I, we're going to check if I is negative. If it's negative, we will do a while loop validation. How we do this? I can say while value is less than 0. That's it. So what to do if while value is less than 0? Do this. Tell the user he made a mistake. Wrong value. Typical loop validation. And enter, for example, a non-negative value. So now, if the user inputs a negative value, it will come inside this loop. And read the value again, as you see here. So now, if the user inputs a negative value, it will go inside the loop, give him an error message, read the value again, and check. So there is no way you come to line 18 unless you input a non-negative value. So let us, after this loop, print the array. I already imported or copied the print array here data. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to run it and see what happens. Run this, enter a value. I am at line 13. So my first value is non-negative. So line 14, 15, 16, 17 will be skipped. It came back at line 13. I'll enter a negative value. It went inside the loop. Wrong value, please enter a non-negative value. So now what to do? I need to enter a non-negative value. I'll do 6. Good. 4, 5, 6. Again, I'm going to enter a negative value. If you keep entering negative value, you'll never come out of the loop until you enter a non-negative value. So this way, I filled the array with 10 non-negative values. By the way, you can use a function to fill the array. You can call a function or call it fill array. Here, I'm going to make a function now. Okay, instead of, I'm going to do a function called fill array. And I'll take all of this code here, all of this code, even the scanner. I need it inside the function. All of this code now, I will put it inside the function. And here, the array name inside the function is going to be my array. And I can also print it from inside the function, which is a good choice. So now I will call this now. I will call the function to fill the array. So whenever you need to fill an array, you can call this function. But this function will fill the array with non-negative value. I call it fill array non-negative. Fine. What if you want to fill an array with let us create another function. I'll do copy paste here. Fill array now. Just fill array. It doesn't matter with which values. The only thing you need to do, just remove this while loop. So now you fill an array. So you can fill an array or fill an array with non-negative values. So now I'm going to call the function fill array non-negative. and data array. So once I call the function, this one, it will fill the array. The function could also print it, but I'll just print it from here. Let us make sure the data array now is filled with non-negative values. So 1, 2, 3, 4, -6, -6, -6. You must enter a non-negative value to continue. Good. So we created a function to fill the array, which is very, very useful. Right, next. Next, we need to provide maximum, minimum, sum, average. We will do this quickly. All done using functions. Okay, I'll make a function with maximum first. This function should return an integer because the array maximum is going to be an integer, and it should return an integer at the end. No input. Nothing here is going to be very simple. So how to find the maximum of an array? Consider the first one to be the largest. Consider integer max equals my array 0. So first one is the largest. Then go inside the loop and try to, you will go from the second one because you consider the first one to be the largest. Now we need to do comparison inside the loop. If my array I is greater than max, then you need to change the values. Max is equal to my array I. If you find the value larger than max, then get it, put it in max. So at the end of this, just return max. So this array, this function will consider the first element in the array to be the largest, then start comparison. If another element is found to be larger, just store it in max, and it should return the largest value. So now I'll just do something here. I'll change the array size to 5, and I will try to run it here. I will say print, I'll say sys out. I will call the function getMax of getMax is the function name of the array data. So now I will fill the array, print it, and I will see what is the maximum value in the array. I change it to 5 to make it quick only. So 88, 123, whatever values, and here the largest is 88. Let us run it with another different set of values. Largest is 333. Perfect. If we already done with the largest, we can do now the smallest, and this should be just copy paste. So here we'll call it get minimum, and minimum is equal to the first element in the array. If any element in the array is less than the minimum, so set the minimum to value of that element and return the minimum of the array. That's it. So now we have print minimum, and let us just do maximum. And sum and average will be done soon. Okay, get minimum. Array max is also array sum is very simple. Same for loop again and again. So here you will say get sum. Let us call it here. Sum of integers is integer. Get sum. So here you say integer sum is equal to 0. Initialize your totals. Is equal to 0. And in your loop, you'll just do one statement. Sum plus equal my array I. That's it. So by the end of this loop, you just return sum. So this should find the sum of the array. Average is also very simple, but average is going to return a non-integer value. You can make it double, and you call it get AVG. Average is also double AVG. It's very easy to do it. You can call the getSum function, getSum, which makes the sum of the array my array, and then divide it by my array dot length. and return AVG. So this one will do the division. If you are afraid of integer division errors, just cast the length here. So to avoid integer division issues. So now we are done with the four functions. Get sum, and let me call get max, get average, sorry, get AVG, and let's run it one more time. Run. So we have 188, 34, whatever values. So the sum is, the maximum is 88, the minimum is 1, the sum is 100, and the average is 20, which is fine. 20, 5 elements, their sum is 100, their average is 20. So we are done with those four functions. Create another function to count the odd and even values in a loop. This is also very simple, very similar to that one. Count odd and count even. You just need to create a counter and go inside that for loop. That's it. So here you would say integer count is equal to 0. Here get odd, for example. Get odd. And here you would say inside the for loop, you would say if my array I modulus 2 is equal 1, then increment the count, count plus plus, and return it. So this way you return the number of odd values. Definitely it's going to change only one character here to get the get even values from the array. So here if it's divisible by 0, if the remainder is 0, then we just return the count. Let's see if we have some questions here. Why the loop? Okay, yes, you are right, actually. This loop started when we did comparison, but now it should be starting from 0, actually. When we were looking for max and minimum, we started from 1 because we already used the first element, but that was wrong here with sum and sum, especially sum. Now it should be fine. All of them should start from 0. But when you do maximum, minimum, usually you sometimes use the first element, like this one. Then khalas, first element is used. You start from the second. Minimum is the same. But sum and average and all these things, we should start from 0. Thank you. So now we have count even and count odd. I can call all of them now. Okay. Get odd, get even. Of course, I can output better output messages. Okay. I'll make 4 odd and 1 even. Sorry, 4 even and 1 odd. So here, this is our array. Maximum value is 20. Minimum is 1. Sum is 61. Average is 12.2. Count of odd values 1. Count of even numbers is 4. Double the values of all the arrays. So now we can see how to change the values of in an array. To change the values of an array, you need to do them using a loop. Yani you can go and change all the values. The question says double, yani multiply them by 2. So this is very simple and straightforward. For loop and multiply them by 2. You can do it with or without a function. For example, to do it with a function, we can here go and do something like void. It does not return anything. I could call it double values. Okay. So now all the array elements should be doubled. No return here. In the for loop, you will go from the first one to the last one. And what you're going to do, very simple thing. My array I is equal to my array I times 2. So now each element in the array will be replaced by its value multiplied by 2. No need to return the array because, as you saw, arrays are no need to return any value here because we are not returning it. If you change the values of the array, then no need to return it. Arrays are passed by reference. If you make any changes, then that's it. It's called by reference. The changes are permanent. If you want to return or print values, that's fine. But this function now, what it does simply, it does changes to the values inside the array. Let us call it. I will call the function here double values for the data array. And hopefully I write the function right. Double values. Now it's fine here. And after I do that, let me print the array again. So I'll print the array again. You will see that values are doubled in the array. Let me run this. So this is our array 10, 20, 35, 45, 1. As you see, you know now all these things, but now we doubled all the values in the array. 10 became 20, 20, 40, and so on. So you can use any function to change the values of the array. If you make any changes to the array, no need to return it because you are passing it by reference. Plus, if you make the changes at one place, it's made to the reference itself. It's available anywhere. Let us see the next one. Question. Check if the element of an array exists. This is searching an array. Searching an array, you need to go and see if an element exists. Return its index, the location of the element, or -1 otherwise. This is very classic function. Search the array, give me the index of that value, return -1 if it's not there. So the function here, search array, we will call it. It should return an integer because we are expecting index. I'll call it get index. So this time we will send an array, not only an array, we are also going to send a value to search. So our function will search for a value in an array. The function searches for a value in an array. You need to return the index. So here I could say integer index is equal -1. We don't have this element. Then I go inside the array using the for loop here and search. If my array I is equal to value, then it's found. In this case, index is equal I, and no need to continue. Break, خلاص, that's it. No need to continue. If the element is in the array, at least one time you will go inside this if statement and change the index. If the index is not in the, if the value is not in the array, you will be searching and the index will remain -1. So your function is or your method is going to return index at the end. If it's -1, then it's not found in the array. Otherwise, it's found in the array. So if it's still -1, this is very classic method. It's used in so many places. You return yes, no. If you find it, change the index and break. No need to continue. It's found. Maybe you have an array of 1 million values and you found it at location 10. No need to continue. Now let's see this. Let us test this function. I will do here and say sysout. I will call the function get index like this, data array with value 5. So the function will return something and we are going to output it. Let us run this now. I will not put 5 in the array this time. 23, 45, 122, 11. What you see here, -1, because it's not in the array. Now I'll make an array that contains 5. Run it again here. 10, 2, 5, 23, 1. ما أعطاني شيء. Is it 5? I entered here 5, data 5. Okay, get index, still -1. Let's see what we did wrong here. If integer and صح. Sorry, because I don't read the chat and I don't know that I made a mistake here. It should return index now. Sorry, thank you. Yeah, let's run it now twice. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. -1, which is correct now. Let us do it with 10, 30, 5, 1, 2. So still -1, wallah. Why? Let me see this. Integer value and less than array length. If my array I is equal value, index is equal to I. This is the for loop. And return index. I don't see an error here unless it wasn't saved, yani. Okay. And let me make sure I'm calling it with the right values. Data. Wait. 5 is not in the array. You know why? Because before we called the getIndex method, we doubled the array. You remember here, we changed the values of the array. We doubled the array values here. The values of the array are here actually, not this one. Because we entered the array, we did some calculations, and then we doubled the values of the array. So now I can run it with I am not going to do 5. It should be some kind of another number, or I don't double it. So here I will not call double. Okay, I will not call double array. So now I can run it without calling double array. Okay, so 10, 5, 4, 6, 7. So the index is 1, perfect. Let me run it with other values. Okay, 10, 2, 3, 6, 7, -1, perfect. So now you know how to find an element in the array, classic search, and this is how we do it. Type. This time you need to find how many times a value exists in an array. Oh, yani you should return the number of times you find a value in the array. It's very simple and even simpler than the previous method. To find how many times a value exists in an array, just don't break after you find it. So here you would do just get count. I'll call it get count. How many times a value exists in an array? Just call it, get count. So here call it count. This is our counter, which is equal to 0. And here, if you find it, count plus plus. That's it. And your function needs to return count. Your function needs to return count. So now, count is 0. If you find a match, increment the count. So this way you go from first to last element. This way you go from first to last element. So in order to make this and it looks better, I will change the array size now to 10. So, and I will be searching for 5 also. Okay. And I didn't call the function, so I need to stop this. I didn't call the function, by the way. Okay. So here I need to call get count. Okay, to see what is the output of the get count, data, and 5 also. Okay, or خليني make it 10. One more thing, I increased the number of values in the array to 10 now. Let us run this. Okay, 2, 3, 5, 10, 30, 10, 2, 10, 10, 2, 2. So you see we have 4 10s in the array. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 5 is available at index 2. This is the previous method function here, get index. So let's see what we have here. We did all the functions here. We find max, minimum, count, double, all these things. we created a function to count existing things in the array, what we have, what we don't have. Next one, parallel arrays. Parallel arrays usually are used when you have arrays that are related to each other. Yani, for example, you have an array of 10 scores, you can have a similar array with 10 grades. Here our example is simpler. Declare and initialize an array of 10 integers. Good. Fill it with values between 1 and 10. Easy. Call it data. Fine. Now declare two other arrays. One of them is called facts. It's an array of longs. And the other one is sqrt, which is an array of double. Long is larger than integer. So our example will be simple. We will fill the facts array with the factorials of elements from the data array. Let me do it here. Okay. I will create a third example here. New class array parallel with the main method here. Okay. I have an array. I'll call it data. I'll copy it from other. Okay. The array name is data. It has 10 elements. But I need small elements because I'm going to calculate their factorials. Okay. So now I will fill it with small elements. Let us say 9. Let us make them 5. That's it. No need for 10. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So we have an array that has 5 elements. The array name is data. Now we have two other arrays. Long array. The name of the array is fact. It should be of the same size of data, but it's an array of long. So you just say new long, and the array size is data.length. So this way you know that the size is matching. The third one is an array of doubles, and the array name is sqrt, where you're going to put the square roots. So here you would say new double again, data.length. So we are done, by the way. We need to fill, let us start with the simpler one, the second array, sqrt, with the square roots of the values of the data array. We can use the math function. Let us see how we're going to fill it, by the way. For integer I is equal to 0, I is less than data dot length, I plus plus, again, here. Now I could say sqrt I is equal to math dot sqr square root math dot sqr of what? Of data I. So the square root of the value in the data I will be put in the square root array. So the first element in the sqrt will be the square root of 2, the square root of 3, 5, 4, and so on. I can print it now. Best way to print it is to do some where print array. I will just get it from first function here. This is a print array. I will call it. I will put it here and call it. Now I need to print the square array, but this one is not, no need to do the function. Okay, I can use the same for loop to show you the output now. Here, sqrt dot length and sys out sqrt I, and just put some space here and a new line after I finish the loop. That's it. So let's see the output now. Okay, I am not running this loop. Okay, I'll go to my here. Test paper, this one. And I need to run this one. You see the elements in the array? This is the square roots array. We filled them. Let us just give some value 9 here. I will put this 9. You know the square root of 9. Okay, so we see 3 here. Let's put 4 here. And maybe we need to use print instead of print line, but I avoided that because the values might be huge. The values might be huge, okay? So I'll just do print here if you want, that's fine. I can do this now. These are the values in the SQRT array. Now we need to fill the other array, which is the factorial. You have 2 other choices. You can do the factorial one by one or create a function to do the factorial. I will create a function to do the factorial. Public, static, integer. Oh no, long. Why long? Because sometimes the value of factorial is huge. Get factorial, get fact. This function will take an integer, but return its factorial. As quick as we can, integer fact is equal to 1. Now for integer I is equal to 1, I is less than or equal to n, I plus plus, fact times equal I. This is how we calculate factorial of a number. And now return fact. So our function, this should be long, by the way, here. So now our function here, okay, our function now, this is a function that takes one value and return its factorial. How I'm going to use this? No problem. You can use it here in the same for loop. You could say facts I, the value inside the factor, let us call this array facts, much better than fact. Facts I is equal to, call the function, get fact of which value of the data I. So what happens now? The first element in the factorial here, array, will be, okay, what? You will call the function with the value 2. The function will return the factorial of 2. Next time, you will call the function with the value 3. And what is going to be stored here is the factorial of 3, 4, 9, 7, and so on. Let us use another for loop to print the array of factorials. Okay, here I'm going to make facts. And here I'm going to make facts again, and that's it. So now, hopefully, everything is going to work. Run. These are the factorials. The values are right. 2, 6, 24. Let's make this 5. Factorial of 5 is 120. Okay, 120. Factorial of 6 is 720. So at least the values, we know them. So these are the contents of the factorials array. This is called parallel array. Of course, the question says, print the 3 arrays in a tabular form. This is very simple. Just use a for loop to print all the arrays in a tabular form. So I'm going to do it this way. For example, sys out first here. I could do, for example, n, then tab, then factorial, for example, then tab, then sqrt, then new line. So I'll do this output now before I do any print. Then in the output, this is what I'm going to output. All of them in one sys out. So the sys out will be like this, data I, then plus tab, then facts I plus tab, facts I plus tab, and then data, and plus sqrt I plus new line, or no need for a new line. You can make this ln, print ln. Let's see this, how this is going to work. Okay. Okay, for loop, it will print them. Here you have, let us see this. Okay, something wrong. Where is that here? Okay, for loop. Okay, no need for a block here. That's it. Here we have n, factorial, and sqrt. You can add 2 tabs, for example, after factorial if you find it needed. Okay, let's see this now. This is better. And there is a new line. You can remove it somewhere here. Okay. Okay, print. No need for a new line here because it's already print ln. Come on. So this is working with parallel arrays. This is the original array. These are the factorials of those data, and this is the square root. I think there was a question about like this. There was a question like this in the array sum. Hopefully, I answered those questions. What I'm gonna do, I will see the next question, and I will decide if I stop here or continue. Arrays of objects. I believe I will stop here. I will record a separate video myself for arrays of objects and how to work with array of objects. So what I want you to do is, if you have quickly any questions, you will find the recorded sessions in Blackboard, like any other thing here. For example, if you go to learning sessions, the session of yesterday, if you go here, the first thing you find, you'll find the recorded here, a link to the recording in YouTube. Okay. And you will find the slides. You will find all the code I did. Okay. For yesterday's sessions available. And there are very good demos, detailed demos that I cannot do in 1 hour about the same topic. So for session 2, if you go to session 2, I posted some good videos how to learn about arrays and array strings, array lists. And once I finish with this, I will do the recording and put it in Blackboard in YouTube. Now we will stop here. I will stop recording.